Hey guys, JJ here with Welco JCB and Ron's Equipment Company. Today we're going to go over the interior controls on the new 3.2 series JCB Skid Steers and Teleskids. One way to know if yours is a 3.2 version, I mean, it's pretty simple. All the 3.2s are going to have this touchscreen up there at the top with a control layout that looks like that. The other way to know, if you haven't actually seen it, but you have a serial number, let's see here. You can see there where my thumb is, that 3235297. That's the last 7 digits of the serial number, and it starts with 32, so it's a 3.2 series. So that's how you'd know if all you had to know, or the only way you could tell is by a serial number. So a lot of people asking for control videos on these new ones, so we'll do that today. Cab is pretty similar. The front windshield is a little bit different than the 3.1 and the older series, so a little bit bigger windshield, just even more visibility, so never a bad thing. Seat's the same. You know, you've got your tilt for the rear. The owner's manual will be in a pouch on the back of the seat. This does have a heated air ride seat. There's your switch for the seat heater. You can see your air ride controls there. This top bar is going to slide just the seat, and your armrests will stay in the position that they're in, so you can adjust how close you are to the joysticks. Whereas the bottom bar is going to slide the whole assembly, armrests, seat, everything, so that you can adjust how close you are to the front of the cab. So we'll hop in here and start going over features. All right. So as you can see, the layout of the controls is different than in recent years, so you do have even more visibility, which is hard to believe because they already had fantastic visibility. But so we're going to turn the key to the accessory position here. You'll see up here it says preparing machine, and then it says machine ready. Turn off that error message. So yeah, you can see up here on the touch screen, it's going to kind of give you all your pertinent information here. Starting over here at top left, you've got your fuel gauge, you've got your oil temp gauge, or I'm sorry, that's your coolant temp gauge, hydraulic pressure, okay, this is terrible. So far I'm off to a rough start here, guys, but starting over, top left, fuel gauge, middle left, coolant temperature gauge, bottom left, hydraulic temperature gauge, and you can see in the middle it'll actually give you readings, and we'll go through how to change the layout and everything like that. In the middle, up at the top, you've got the time, you've got engine RPMs, and as I just mentioned, you got your hydraulic temp and your coolant temp right there in the bottom of the middle part of the screen. You can see right now the parking brake is on. Let me do one thing here real quick. A little bit better. Parking brake's on, joystick lockout is on. You can see we're in ISO control, power management 4, and we are in Turtle currently as far as our gear. So just kind of running through your options here. Let's say that you are more familiar with running H pattern than ISO. You can simply click on that, push the H, close it, and now you can see you're in H pattern. So that's easier than in years past. In years past, you had to actually key the machine off and then back to accessory position and push the button. So now you can do it with the machine on. So one more feature that's a little bit better. One thing we've had a lot of people ask about is how you change the power management controls. And so that's going to be this one right here. So you can see the way that we have it set up. Right now it's in 4, which we do 4 as the most experienced operator. The machine's the most responsive. You're going to get the most power out of it. Kind of rolling down your options here. I don't know why it's so blurry. I apologize for that, but you'll get the idea. The top one is going to be forward max speed. We've obviously got that set to 100. Reverse max speed, 100. Acceleration all the way up. Power management. This one's kind of reverse intuitive, if you will. So what power management is basically when you're pushing into a pile real heavy or something like that, it's going to be how hard you can push before the machine just kind of cuts out and loses power. So the lower it is, like right now it's all the way down, the more power you have to push into the pile before it'll choke out the machine. The higher you have that set, then the less you can push into a machine before you lose power. And you can see we've got the joystick deadband reduction turned off. You can reset it to the default settings, but that's where you're going to go in and you can change it. You can see right now, so this is where it's showing you. Right now we have number 4 selected. So you can come up here, you can push on number 3, and you'll be able to see, you know, your settings in power management 3. Like we've got turned down to 85% on forward and reverse max speed. Acceleration still all the way up. We have one more bar on the power management. So that's generally the way that we'll set them up, is we'll do one as being kind of the least sensitive controls, the least responsive, kind of like a beginner setting, so you can get a feel for the machine and really get comfortable before you start, you know, going gung-ho on it. So, and then all the way up to 4, which would be like your most advanced operator, the guy that's in it all day, every day, running it, and has a real good feel for it. So to get out of this, we're just going to push this button here, go back to the main screen. And so another way that you can switch between them is you've got the same symbol right here. So you'll see if I push that button, it's going to cycle through them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll probably leave it on 2, just in case we get somebody new that hasn't ran skid steers a whole lot running it. It won't be so jumpy for them. Let's see here. You can check all your settings and change everything by clicking that little button I just hit right here, the 3 lines. So you see we've got machine settings, you can touch that. Now you've got my choice, you've got auto idle. I can show you here kind of what these are doing. You can also change your tracking adjustments in here. I would definitely not recommend playing with that a whole lot. As long as your machine is tracking straight, I would leave that alone. You also have your reverse fan interval, so you can change how often your reversing fan is cutting in or out. I mean, as far as how often it's turning on, as long as your machine has the reversing fan. So you can do 10 or 15 minutes, and you just push it. You can, oh, I'm sorry, you can do actually more than that. So you do 10 all the way up to 60 minutes. We'll leave it at 10. So going back here, my choice, it's basically the exact same thing. It's what your machine is going to start at when you key it on. So we have it set at 2. Auto idle, I'll show you this. So let's say you're, you know, you obviously have a hand throttle and you've got a foot throttle, so you can use either one. Now you can see with auto idle turned off, I'm not giving it any input on the joysticks. I'm not doing anything, and it's maintaining the RPM that I set it at. But if I turn this on, you heard it because I'm not giving it any kind of feedback as far as controls or anything. We'll turn that off. Now, as soon as I bump the joystick, that's what I just did, it goes up to where I have it set, and as soon as it doesn't have any input for 3 or 4 seconds, it automatically cuts the idle back, so you're not just sitting there burning fuel. So that's actually a pretty nice feature. Probably save you a decent amount of fuel if you have times that you're on a job site and guys are kind of constantly stopping you and talking to you, or you gotta do anything, then you don't have to remember to idle it back down here. It's going to do it automatically for you. So kind of a cool feature. I always leave it turned off just by default because it can kind of, people think something's wrong with the machine. Let's see, we went through tracking adjustments you don't really want to mess with. And then you've got throttle smoothing. And so, this is basically just going to be, exactly what it says. It's going to smooth the idle. So if you are using foot controls, the foot throttle, then as you're driving across bumps and stuff like that, and your foot's kind of, fluctuating on the gas pedal, you're kind of just bumping as you hit bumps and stuff, it's not going to take your RPMs up and down. It's just going to give you a real smooth RPM band. So that's what you got going on there. That's all the options in machine setting. If we come back out and we go to display setting, we can change the time, we can change units, we can change brightness, we can change the language. We can click on reverse camera and you can either turn it on or off. Obviously we're going to leave that on. And that's all we've got as far as display settings. So pretty simple there. Machine info. It's a handy screen. You can see your model. You can see your serial number. How soon your service is due, engine hours, battery voltage. Once again, you can see hydraulic temperature, coolant temperature, your charge pressure, park brake pressure, and lift pressure. You can also see the versions of software that you have. So that's all going to be there under machine info. And then you can also go in here to diagnostics. If you have a trouble code on, you can see what it is. So that's pretty much everything up there on the screen. If you want to change your time, you don't even have to go in there. You can basically click on time right up there at the top. Sorry, I didn't get that in the screen very well. Basically, you just push on time, and you can go in and change the time. So they've made it very user-friendly. You can also change the layout on this screen. So display settings. Let's see here. Trying to remember how I did that before. You can see, I'll figure that out in just a second. You can see you can either do a home screen, where you see all this, or you can have your rear view camera selected to where you can see behind you. Okay, sorry about that. So the way that you change kind of how this looks in here, you just push on that and you can get, basically you can select what goes into each of these tiles. So they call this one tile 1, this one tile 2. So on tile 1 you can put RPM, you can put job timer, you can put your fuel consumption, you can put fluid temperatures, so you can customize this. So if you're doing a job by the hour, let's say you want to, sorry I didn't do a very good job. I'm trying to look in person. Let's see if I can do this a little bit better for you guys. Sorry about that. Close this back out. So they call this tile 1, this tile 2, and so you can adjust. So let's say you're doing a job by the hour. You want to put your timer up here for your job, and then obviously you just push play, and you can record how long you're on a specific job. And then if you want to change what's in tile 2, I don't want to see RPMs, I want to see my temperatures and actual readings. You can click that. So it's customizable as far as what you're seeing on the screen. So that's how you're going to adjust that. As far as the actual controls, obviously you've got your radio over here on the top left. You've got your beacon. You've also got your HVAC controls. And then left joystick. You can see on the joystick, this is where you're going to switch. You know, it's going to be in turtle by default. But if I hit rabbit, now you can see I'm in rabbit mode. And then if I hit snail, which is going to be creep. Oh, sorry, there's snail. And it'll actually give you a percentage there. So you can adjust your percentage of creep. And the way you're going to do that is with this, on the left joystick, this toggle right here. So I can push it forward, and you'll see that my percentage of creep is going to creep up. You know, it'll go all the way up to, I think it's 95. Nope, this one goes up to 99. Or you can push on the back side, and you can watch it go down. This will come in real handy if you're in a real tight spot, but you still need all your hydraulic power, so you're going to have your RPMs up really high. You don't want the machine to be real jumpy or move real quick because you're in a tight spot. You can see it goes down to 5 as the bottom. Then you can adjust your creep percentage to where you can still have your RPMs way up to give you all your hydraulic power, but then the machine isn't going to move quickly at all. So it is a 2-speed, but it does have creep, so it's really almost a 3-speed. Nice feature to have. And then, you know, you hit snail again, and you're back into turtle. So keep an indicator there. Your other buttons and toggles on your joystick are going to control your attachments, depending on what your attachment you have on and how it's wired. Underneath, there's 2 buttons. Let's see if we can't get a shot of that. Should be showing you 2 buttons on the bottom of the joystick. The forwardmost button, the one towards the front of the cab or towards the windshield, would run, you know, an attachment depending on what you have on there. And then the one towards the back or towards the operator on the underside of this joystick is your horn. So, coming over to the right side joystick, hard to get it to where you can actually see. So, this is going to be your constant flow hydraulic. So if you are running a snowblower or a broom or something that takes a consistent supply of hydraulic oil, that's your constant flow. This is going to be your float. So if you're back dragging, you know, you would get it to where your arm has a little bit of down pressure, so you get a little bit of down pressure on it, and then you would hit that button, and it'll put your arm into float to where as you're back dragging, if you go, you know, up over a bump, it's not going to dig the bucket into the ground, or if you go down into a hole, it's not going to raise the arm and leave you a high spot. So it's just going to maintain pressure with the ground, put your arm into float. So you can still adjust the angle of your bucket, the dumper curl angle, but as soon as you pull back on the joystick and start raising the arm, it'll take it out of float. And then obviously with the teleskid, this toggle right here is going to boom in and out. Here, I'll show you. Oh, sorry, I was some H pattern there. Okay, so you do, this is good to know, you do have to have it in park in order to switch your setting. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. You have to have what they call isolated, so basically locking the machine there, and then you can switch to whichever control style you like, and then we're good to go. Raise the loader up. I don't know why it's shooting such a fuzzy, weird video today, but it is. So, but like I said, this button right here on the joystick, push it forward, toggle switch, just like this one, is on the underneath side, and that'll control attachment as well, depending on what you have on there. Obviously, your front window wiper controls are right there in front of you for the front windshield. Running down the buttons over here. This top one is going to be your lights. Push it once, your front lights will come on the top of your cab. Push it twice, front and rear will be on. 3 times, everything's off. Anytime you hear that backup beeper, your rear lights will automatically come on, just like on a car. When you put it in reverse, your backup lights come on. This is going to be smooth ride. So basically putting your arm into an elevated float, so that if you are traveling with a load or something like that in your bucket or on bale spears or whatever you're doing, it's not going to be so rigid, so it doesn't beat up the operator as much when you're traveling with a load on. This is your reversing fan for your radiator that we talked about earlier. The setting was up here for. You can switch between 10 minutes and 60 minutes. You can also do it immediately right now, turn on your reversing fan, like if you just noticed that a bunch of hay or something got on there. This one's going to be self-leveling loader, so it'll maintain, your bucket will maintain level as you raise it. On the large frame teleskid, it will also maintain level as you go down. All your other machines, it only does level on the way up. This is going to be your high flow. So if you're running a high flow attachment that takes more gallons per minute, this is going to be your high flow. This is going to be your hydraulic lock, and this is hydraulic unlock for attaching your implements. You see that red plunger right there? So what I'm going to do, if I was going to disconnect this bucket, I'm going to push and hold the unlock, and you'll see that plunger come up out of the hole. And then you can, it's hard to hear right now with the pump on, but as you come up out of it, when you get to the top, you'll hear it clicking. And then when you go to reconnect, it's just obviously the one with the lock. Push that and hold it. I've had a couple guys that just hold it until the plunger is flush with the top of that hole that it's going into. But you want to wait until you actually hear the clicks. I know it's going to be hard to hear in the video, but it does click once it's fully engaged. It'll give like click, 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 and that's how you know it's in. So that's what those two are for. This one down here is an isolate again, so pretty much locking out your joystick. This one will actually lock out the hydraulics, so if you did have like a big mower or mulcher or something on there, and you didn't want it to accidentally get kicked on if somebody bumped a button, you can lock it out there. There's your parking brake, and there's your power management, choosing which one you want, if you want to do it here. Obviously hand throttle, there's your key, and then foot throttle, like we talked about. Again, because the JCB has the side door, your emergency exit is going to be out the front. So if you tipped it and landed on the door, you would release that handle and that handle, those red handles, and then you would go out the front of the machine. So that's how that works. I think we hit most of the controls and everything in here. I don't know why my iPad is doing such a fuzzy video today. I apologize, but hopefully it's better than nothing. So thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, obviously subscribe and like our videos. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.